will be no stopping the uprisings now. Over 20,000 men, but no leader. He's a great man, capable of doing great things.
You want me to make an army out of a group of ragtag peasants?
We must stand up and resist.
All you have is belief, but belief will not save them in battle. Do you have proper weapons and ammunition supply? Do you have a central command?
Surely you have read about our victories.
And your defeats.
General, that's why we want you.
Finally, the day has come that the Mexican Catholics can talk about all they have struggled through to continue to believe and bring Catholicism to the world, to the good people who want nothing more than to have Catholicism.
This is true.
This is the film for greater glory.
Well,
wait. I'm sorry. Where'd you start and then end up at Shatner? I don't.
yeah, I know.
I don't understand how that happened.
It just happens. I'm aware, Shatner.
Yeah, this is the movie that shows you what torment Catholics had to go through. It's like somehow the Catholic Church took a break from tormenting and having a goddamn inquisition on everybody else to where they got tortured for 3 years.
Yeah, the Mexican government declared, fucking jihad on them.
Yeah, the Mexican government said, like, okay, enough of this Catholic shit. Y'all are out of control. No more Catholics.
And the funny thing is at least with this story, like, this is a story that really wasn't recorded. Like, a lot of people have kind of like, they've never heard of this, or where it supposedly it actually happened. It's a part of history.
It's the Cristero War.
Yeah, but nobody is like talked about it. There hasn't been anything written about it.
They're probably embarrassed.
It's something that they really tried to sweep under the rug. Where it's like they almost got away with it until Andy Garcia got involved with this goddamn thing. Damn you, Andy Garcia.
Well, it's been a long time since The Godfather 3.
Yeah, since he fucked that up.
No, right before this movie, he starred in and produced a movie, City Heat, City Island.
Oh, that was okay.
Yeah.
It was a nice little,
it
wasn't
movie.
something to like freak out about, but it was all right.
No. It was, it's one of those movies. It's cute and enjoyable. You might forget it, but you enjoy it while you're watching it. And it's like, okay, well, if this is what he's going to do from now on, that's fine. But no, he wants to come back in grand style with an epic.
Oh yeah, have you looked at that poster? That poster's epic. It's epic Andy Garcia on that goddamn thing.
It's got that whole heroic pose thing, and like ain't
Butler.
nobody else in this movie but Andy Garcia.
I know. I was like, Andy Garcia, you don't need to make a movie about that picture that you took at Six Flags. It's like, it's an awesome picture. We all have one sitting around somewhere. But
this whole story, such as it is, starts off in its very hyperbolic, very overwrought way. Almost immediately, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Where it's just so exaggerated about, like, this little town, and Peter O'Toole is the local minister there, who, by the way, I didn't know he was still alive.
Yeah,
and
no shit, right?
I'm still not sure that he is.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, wasn't that guy who died in fucking Harry Potter? No,
that was Richard Harris.
Oh,
it was
that
a time
other guy?
when people used to get the two of them mixed up all the time.
Yeah.
And when I say people, I mean me.
Include that with me too.
I don't think this movie proves that he's still alive. I think it proves that Jim Henson is still alive.
Well, the thing about Peter
You're
O'Toole
right.
is that he's one of those old guys who got like one of, or maybe several, of the worst facelifts ever. So he looks, all the time, he looks like he's just had the shock of his life.
Yeah, he
his
does.
eyes are so wide.
If
you say like, Mr. O'Toole, are you done with your plate? It's like he's going, what?
Yeah, he looks like one of those goddamn marionettes from Team America.
Yes, he does.
That's what he really looks like.
Totally
I was
does.
waiting for him, like his hands and arms just to go bouncing all around, going, "No me gusto."
Yeah, exactly. No, you know what, co-host? I had the exact same thought watching this movie, and also I kept thinking like, every time he talked, Michael J. Fox should come up to him and go like, "Stop shaking so much, dude."
Seriously. Well, he's a local parish priest in a very small role, but a pivotal one.
Yes.
Oh, sort of.
Padre, the federal soldiers are coming. You must hide.
Hide? Would I hide from God?
Please, Father.
Who are you if you don't stand up for what you believe? Go. And run fast.
Yes, because
And
what
he's-
Mexican government says, they break it down like, hey, no being Catholic in public.
Well,
all right, no more wearing robes.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? Just cut all that shit out altogether.
Well, I mean, I admit it is totally unreasonable for the Mexican government, who at that point was were leaning very heavily. This is like 1926. We're leaning towards communism, as were
Right.
many countries.
Right.
And many, in fact, didn't just lean, but full on did the trust exercise and fell into it.
yeah.
But so they were like, okay, well, atheism is the way to go, and we don't want any religions in here. And as much as it pains me to say this, that is not the right approach. That is definitely not the correct approach. And so they're like, yeah, you're like, oh, you can't wear your costumes, your
Yeah.
little religious cosplay thing.
We'll
can't
arrest
have
you.
that.
Yeah,
And-
religious cosplay.
Can't wear your Halloween costumes around town.
Hey, that hat's a little pointed.
Yeah.
Round off those corners.
But I mean, it's stuff like it's that whole imagery, the whole idolatry of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
That like they're like, oh, well, you can't take away our idolatry. It's like, well, right here in the book. Shut up. But you know what I mean. It's that symbolism that they
Yeah.
use, and Peter O'Toole is the movie's symbol for that whole like, oh, the oppressive government striking down the poor, innocent, heartfelt Catholic Church, and that just. People are people. Large organizations are large organizations. You take it how you want. But in this film, they're trying to pretend like the Catholics in Mexico are just the sweetest, nicest, most wonderful bunch of people ever. And the whole country was so excited that they were there.
Yeah, I mean, at that
And-
point, yeah, with them assassinating Peter O'Toole, which kicks all off.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be like, oh man, they killed him. I'm like, yeah, but how many altar boys did he fuck up to this point?
Oh, damn.
Oh, see, I
we
didn't
didn't
put
see
that in my
that part.
head.
That's in the director's cut. Don't judge this yet. Come on now.
Well-
no, I was like, wow, they're really making these guys seem like the bad guys. 'Cause I was like, it's not only one thing to shoot up Peter O'Toole, but you go into church and you're shooting up poor wooden Jesus up there hanging on the cross.
Right?
I was like, wow, these guys, what are these? I was waiting for them to unravel like they work for Satan or something. I was
Right.
like,
I'm not even a believer, but even I wouldn't shoot up a wooden Jesus. What the hell is that? That's a valuable piece of object d'art.
right.
I think one of them bashed an old lady's head and with the cross, just to prove a point.
Well, this, of course, is the very beginning of this revolution that set off as all the believers, and people weren't even believers. People were just like, "This is bullshit. You can't tell people what they can and can't believe." in
Taking
that
away our
sense.
freedom of religion.
Exactly, are on one side and the government on the other. And Andy Garcia plays an ex-general who was like one of those war heroes people talk about in whispers from previous Mexican war. I don't know what it was.
Leopold.
He's the guy Andy Garcia always wanted to be.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And even though he is not a believer at all, he is an outspoken atheist. He is drawn into the battle on the side of the revolutionaries because, yes, indeed, his whole thing is, yes, I may not believe in God, but I believe in freedom.
Also, they're offering him a lot of money to do it.
Also, they offered him a lot of
It's
money.
always nice.
Why you gotta ruin the spirit of it? It's called For Greater Glory, not Greater Gold.
Well, I mean, Andy Garcia wants to have it both ways or every way possible, where he's got a character he's strong in his anti-religion, which proves he's smart. He's not superstitious, but he works for money, so he's something of a bad boy, anti-hero.
He's a Han Solo.
Yeah, he's a Han Solo.
That's
Yeah,
what he
he's an
is.
anti-hero. He's in for the money.
Yeah.
But as it goes on, no, forget the money. I'm here for it is the right thing, and we must help these oppressed people. I have to fly at the last minute and save Luke Skywalker's ass.
And
It's
the
like,
rest of the story
enough.
is just like that. It's
Yeah.
like there's no real plot. It's like little super familiar elements, like the kid in danger type of thing.
Yeah.
that they play on over and over again. Like there's a scene where that he's considering maybe there is a God when he sees a kid praying. Now, why would that, for a guy who's considered to be this lifelong, atheist and huge intellectual, see that and go, wow, maybe there is a God? You'd think the scene right after that where he sees another kid get hung from a tree would go, nope.
Nope.
No
I know.
God.
Like, I'm not saying you don't have a God, but man, he is not doing anything for you
Yeah.
guys.
I'm just saying it's
He's
like,
waiting for the right moment to strike, like Batman.
It's like Aslan the Lion. He waits till half your guys get slaughtered and then shows up.
Exactly.
I'm not arguing as a person for this saying there's no God. I'm just saying in the context of this
Right.
character, why would that convince him? And the movie's filled with really sappy shit like that. You're like, come on. This is a Hallmark Channel movie. It's not even a Lifetime movie.
It goes beyond that.
It's Hallmark with
it really
explosions.
Well, my favorite part of the movie is Ruben Blades, who plays the president.
Yeah.
Who's like I thought he was like the only good actor in the whole thing.
Yeah,
but he was very much like the Darth Vader, because I love that they even had a theme song for his ass.
Right.
Whenever him or his band of stormtroopers were around, it's like you heard the da 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 boom, boom, da da da, and I was like, who in the fuck is doing this soundtrack that is like blasting through my ears?
Oh, it was,
and I was like,
yeah.
and it was James Horner apparently. Or I was
Oh,
like,
really?
I was like,
I thought it was
wow,
James
okay.
I thought it was the ghost of Tito Puente.
I know. Well, I kept waiting for the Klingons to show up because that soundtrack. I was like, wow, this sounds like an overboard like Star Trek.
But you got to blame the
score.
director though, because if that had been playing like softly in the background, like lighter,
Sure.
then you would have gone, okay, fine. But it's like
It's
so
blazing,
bombastically loud constantly. Okay, and this was directed by Dean Wright, who it's his debut, and his job before this was the visual effects supervisor on The Two Towers and Return of the King, amongst other things.
wow.
So he's probably used to really loud
Sure.
soundtrack films, but movies there where you get kind of the impact of that.
And the movie does throw in some sweeping panoramas. You know, I mean, and when I say thrown in, it's like they don't really help the story at all. It's just that like he worked on Lord of the Rings, so that he knows that. He's like, well, this is what I know how to do. Let's just put these in here.
Yeah.
Show you the beautiful Mexican countryside. It's like, seriously, dude, at a movie that's almost 3 hours, we don't need any quiet time or just watching fields.
No, and that's the problem with this movie. It's just like there's too much going on. There's way too many characters you get introduced to. Some of them disappear, some of them pop up, and some of them sometimes I'm like, wow, can they like have these guys wear like different colored shirts so I can pick them out to see who is who? Because I kept getting confused. Like, all right, who's this Mexican? Oh, who's this other Mexican? Oh, these Mexicans all look alike. I mean, goddamn, can one of them take a shower, please?
It's a lot of brown guys with big mustaches.
I can hardly wait for the comment section on this. I just die and read this and just go,
Yeah. I'm gonna play that music for you.
Yeah, there's too many characters and everything. Cyrus, you know the word you use, hyperbolic. All of it. It's like they just can't do anything. There's no subtlety in anything whatsoever.
No.
I mean, you have this one.
There's not even a word for it in Spanish, I don't think.
Yeah, right. and you think, okay, Peter O'Toole is the martyr who kicks this all off, but hold on, we got some more martyrs coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one Passion of the Christ scene with this little kid. That's just like, this takes the fucking cake. You know, it's
laughably.
It is. It's laughable. As a matter of fact, it's one of those things where like, man, as much as I don't like this movie at all, I'm glad I saw it just to see that, because nobody could describe this to me in a way the way it would translate to what I'm looking at right now.
It plays on a parody level.
Yeah.
I mean, of like, wow, it's like, okay, somebody's obviously been watching Passion of the Christ. It's like, you would make this better if we threw a little kid in the place of Jesus.
and then the whole time you got Nestor Carbonell, who you guys remember is Richard from Lost, as his father, who's just like, son, just tell them you don't believe and they won't do this. I'm like, that's your son, man. You would step in and say something.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that completely threw me out of the movie, because like the guys, the kid's father and the mother, they're not reacting the way you should when you're seeing your little boy that fucking like popped out of your vagina, the way you should be treated in a situation like that. It's so very like, so this shit happens, and I guess I got to make another baby. I got to try again, and hopefully he'll fucking believe in something, or he'll believe in doing what I tell him, which is like not having any belief. But I mean that's one thing that kind of annoyed me too, where I'm like, really, what the filmmaker and did the writer have to go that far to make the family seem so passive in what was happening to their kid? I was like, this is just stupid,
I was kind of baffled by all that too. I kept wondering if maybe I was just confused about who the parents were, and I still don't know though. I felt like, wait, I don't know. I was like, because they were so whatever.
Yeah, son,
I was like, come on.
Yeah,
that can't be the parents.
And he was the mayor.
Yeah.
Which I guess he's just going to play mayors from now on. He's the mayor of Gotham City and now he's the mayor of Mexico.
Which is funny you say that, because Bruce Greenwood has an appearance in here
Batman.
as the ambassador from America, who they make this big deal about how he's like, hey, those other guys, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? They're going to fuck up relationship with Mexico. I'm a badass. You need to send me. So you're like, oh, this is a guy who can get some shit done. I want to see his story. And he really doesn't have one. He's down there just to kind of be in the background and go, you're fucking things up.
You know, and the thing is, like Bruce Greenwood's probably like the other person I liked in the movie. I thought he was good for the tiny bit he was on, and he seemed to be there to try to talk sense to people, like, hey, don't do this. But that whole thing with that ambassador from America, it seemed to be like that was just there to go like, yes, this tragedy was going on, and America was just in it for the money.
Refused to hell. It did seem like a bit of a...
Americans.
It's like, you made this whole film in English just for the record.
But Andy Garcia is a fucking character in this thing. In as much as, I don't mean Andy Garcia's character, I mean Andy Garcia himself. Because I guess he's produced this, or he's the one going around pushing it. He's the main star, even though it bounces around so much. Sometimes you forget he's in the movie.
Yeah.
But like the last reel where it's all about him, he's chomping on a cigar and making speeches. He's looking like George Papard from the A-Team. It's just so self-aggrandizing of him. Like,
it really is.
Yeah, you just go like, wow, this guy's on the biggest ego trip I've ever seen.
And you know, he was the one guy in the movie that actually bathed, took a shower, and wore clean clothes.
Yes, exactly.
He just seemed to pop out more than anything. Like, he was always in the foreground. Whenever he's walking around, I'm like, man, what the hell?
How can you tell he's a general?
I know.
He's not all covered in shit.
I know. But yeah, there's moments where this movie tried to turn into 3:10 to Yuma,
right?
Out of the blue, like where him and this guy who's a priest, who's hanging out side by side, blazing their guns, where they film this like camaraderie. I mean, they have this camaraderie all of a sudden where you're like, why is all this like, why are you turning this into 3:10 to Yuma now? I mean, I wasn't expecting this, but I mean, it is the one part of the movie that actually kind of woke me up. But
sure,
despite the rest of it being just such a bad display of
it's a
over grandiose filmmaking that it's like, man, just calm down.
I mean, people will say like it's a homage to old style filmmaking or westerns, but it's a pastiche of a bunch of cliches from all those things.
Yeah,
really is.
You're right. And this guy clearly he thinks he's making one of those movies, but he doesn't get some of the most basic tenets of filmmaking.
Yeah.
And it just turns into the most ham-handed, embarrassing affair. My God, I can't even begin to describe to you how embarrassing the very last sequence of this film is. It's shameful.
Yeah.
Shame on you. What the fuck were they thinking? And I mean, what you said, Goes, the sequences where it felt like it was turning into a Western, at least you could go, okay, I can. This is cool. This guys shooting at each other, and there's some cool and really cool backgrounds and stuff. But then it's over way too fast, and we're back to more of the same old cliches. And oh God, why must you know?
And by the way, if you're going off to war or to fight some battle or shootout, and you have a hot wife who says, "Come back to me," you're not coming back.
I know. I was like, did they have to throw that into? Or where's the shot of the guy in the airplane? With a picture of his wife.
Seriously, I'm surprised he didn't go. But honey, I only have one more week till retirement.
Too old for this shit.
But yeah, no, we got to see this in the company of Mr. Andy Garcia himself.
Came out in the worst way possible, in the worst circumstances you could ever imagine.
Came out.
Because there's a fuck up in the formatting, and so it got the way it got shown. Even he said, and it looks like a YouTube video the way you guys projected it.
It's like somebody bootlegged this shit,
right? He's like, oh, you should. I wish you could see this film the way it should be presented in HD, and it's like you had a hard to tell. I'm like, that would not have helped.
Yeah, that ain't saving the film. I'm sorry. HD ain't gonna make you a better actor.
Did it change the dialogue?
Yeah, right.
Sorry. Yeah,
I'll tell you what was in HD, that soundtrack.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's just not a good movie. I would have loved to have seen an interesting film done about this.
Sure.
But this guy who made this had an agenda about the type of story he wanted to tell and the messages he wanted in it. And it's just irritating. You can have an agenda, just don't fucking shotgun me in the face every other scene with it, which is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
It's the thing that people are going to watch on religious retreats, and that's about it. It's for the type of groups that like to build $1.1 million crosses instead of feeding the hungry.
Sure. So what do you give it?
I give this some old bullshit. I really did not like this movie. I admit, I'm the wrong guy to be watching it. But nonetheless, it's just boring. Like you said, how long is it? It's like, was it almost 3 hours or was it over 3 hours?
No, I think it was almost. I think it was maybe like 2.5.
Yeah, if it was 2.5, it felt like 4 hours.
Felt like
Yeah, it
2.5
really did.
days.
Yeah.
Sitting
No,
in a
you're right.
Goddamn uncomfortable.
I mean, yeah,
theater.
whenever you got people falling asleep, snoring, like they just don't give a shit.
And it wasn't me this time.
Yeah, it wasn't you. Shockingly enough, it wasn't you. Even though I noticed you were trying. I was like, dude, you might as well just fucking do it. Everyone else is sleeping. I mean, shit. I mean, never. I was like, even the guy who set it up was fucking sleeping. I mean, yeah. But, it is, I mean, yeah, you're right. It is some old bullshit because it just fails on every level as far as, what a movie like this should be. And, I mean, I don't want to say I despise the director for making me sit through 4 hours of fucking just the most ridiculous filmmaking I've seen in a while. But, at the same time, I can tell this guy probably had his heart in the right place. He just needs to hone his skills a bit better and actually have somebody that writes a snappier script that gets to the point. And, it's like, this thing is based on the Cristero Wars, which is supposed to be like, something that, I had no idea about this.
Right.
And just hearing the story about what it's about was really fascinating. I'm like, wow, I fucking had no clue about that. And it made me want to go look it up, even though I didn't. But
well, only because it would have been more interesting than actually watching the movie.
It made me
watching
want to maybe someday want to look it up.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's 2 paragraphs. Okay.
Cristero Wars, the wars that was never seen or heard of. Yeah, I know. I don't know why I'm turning into Dracula, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's it's too bad because, like I said, I think the movie had its heart in the right place. It's just the execution should have been a lot better, and there's a lot of things that should have been a lot better with this movie. So it's some old bullshit. I hate to say it.
I mean, what you say about it's an interesting topic for somebody to make a good movie about, and maybe someday that will happen. This was far from it. And sorry, Serge, you brought up, I think you said ham-fisted, and that's what I kept thinking the whole time. It's like, wow, man, you're just slapping me around and doing this in just the biggest, most cartoonish, clumsy way to where I can't take this seriously at all. It's like, you said like the only place it'll be shown is for religious groups. That and maybe Master Pancake Theater. Yeah. Because when I was watching, I kept thinking like, man, if they could just give us a microphone to let us make fun of this, this would be awesome. The only thing that would take it down is the fact is it's just too goddamn long.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I don't think the actual Cristero's war was as long as this movie.
You have to pay me money for me to be there to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just laughable, and yeah, it's easily some old bullshit.
I wish there was more to say about this film, but thank God there's not.
Stand up for what you believe.
Pick up, Jose.
You must remember that men will fire bullets, but God decides where they land.